Okay, hi. It's me, Raven, and welcome back to Quaranreads. Happy Valentine's Day. I've got my Cupid eyeshadow on, and I've got my sweetheart nails on. I don't know. I'm just trying to be a little festive. Um, what's wrong? Okay, hi. It's me, Raven. Well, it seems like it's playing, so I just wanted to check because the thing says something went wrong, but I see the stream, so hopefully the stream is streaming. It also says live. Um, yeah, we're back to talk about Pachinko. I'm on my colorful wall today. I'm just trying to switch it up. I don't know. It's hard to get over on this wall because I don't have a really great setup for the computer and everything. Like I'm gonna have to set up like a area, but neat. Anyway, we're talking about Pachinko by Minjin Lee. I am about to start the last book, which is called Pachinko. So I think the last time we talked was 2 weeks ago, and we talked um, about Sunja moving to Japan with Isek or Isaac. And so many things. So many things. Because this book is generation spanning. I'm sitting next to a bookshelf. I'm trying to look for The Vanishing Half. Yes. So because this book is generation spanning, similar to the Vanishing Half, and I actually think this book came out before The Vanishing Half, so no harm, no foul. But it did, because this book came out years ago, and The Vanishing Half was like a new book, like last year or 2019. Anyway, because it's generation spanning, it just goes through the years really fast. So um, a lot has happened since what we discussed last. Um, so around this time in the entire world, I was going to say in Japan, but in the entire world, it was wartime because this was around World War II. And as you probably know, because you guys are very educated and smart people, Japan was part of the Axis. And so they were like allies to Germany during World War II. And then we know what becomes of Japan during that time. We talk about Pearl Harbor in our history classes. And then, of course, what we did to Japan to retaliate. So these years are those years and like directly after. So what we find is these characters really experiencing a lot of tragedy. Like it's really sad and hard to read, but it also feels like very um, important storytelling for a book published in the US, because like we don't really think about like World War II in reference to what it was like for the people in Asia. Like we just really don't talk about that at all. Like we talk about um obviously we talk about the Holocaust, and we talk about you know what was going on in Europe and things like that, and basically we have the Captain America version of it, but we don't think about Asia at all. What I really appreciate is the storytelling from the perspective of Korean people living in Japan at the time. And like they were just treated horribly. Like it's very reminiscent of how the US treats or treated people of color, and still does in some cases, um, treated people of color, particularly Black people, and then like also Asian Americans during this time period. And it's interesting because at the same time that the US was treating Japanese Americans horribly, the Japanese were in Japan treating Koreans horribly. So it's humans just treating each other horribly all around. It was a bad time, that war. So yeah, so we get a lot of like tragedy happening, particularly to this family. So the first bad thing is that we may have talked about this last time, but I don't remember because it was 2 weeks ago. But Isak or Isaac goes to prison, and he stays there for a very long time. And him and Sunja had their two children. Um, yeah, I think we didn't talk about this at all. So obviously, Sunja's first son is um, the son of Hansu, who is like the guy that she had to like fling with when she was like a teenager. And then she married Isak and they went to Japan to live with his brother. And, he became a minister in Osaka, and they ended up having another child together who's Musasu or Moses. And so anyway, after Musasu is born, he ends up going to jail because like being a Christian is like being on really thin ice in Japan at the time because they are very like anti-religion. Um, so it's like you're supposed to like praise the emperor, and like praising another deity is bad. And so he ends up going to jail because like one of the stewards at the church refused to like worship the emperor. Like they have to go to this like ceremony where they're supposed to like bow to, you know, like a ceremony praising the emperor, and he refused. And then so him and the main pastor and the steward all went to jail. And then like 2 years later, he comes home and he is just not at all the same man. Like he's very like malnourished, very like um beaten and bruised. His hair has gone white and he's relatively young. So like he's probably, considering how old he was when he married her, which was probably like in his mid 20s, I think. So he's probably a good like 30, 32, something like that when he comes home, but he looks like this 80-year-old man because he's like so like abused in this prison. And like Sunja had been going to the prison every day and bringing him fresh changes of clothes and like food and stuff, but it became apparent that like they had never given him that stuff. So he does get to see the two kids one last time. Musasu is only 2, so he's like he doesn't really have good memories of his father. And um, Noah, who is the older child, he was like maybe 6 at the time, maybe 8, something like that. Like he was in school. I think he was 6 when his father got taken, and then 8 when he came home to die. And then so like there's nothing they could really do for him, and he ends up dying. And that puts the family in a bad spot. And the more like things go on, like the women end up like having to work. They start making food and candy, and they work in a restaurant. Then Hansu shows back up. And if you remember, he is Noah's biological father. Noah does not know this, and it's never been revealed to anybody that he's Noah's biological father. And he's like, hey, the Americans are like gonna drop bombs. Like, I have heard that this is gonna happen. We need to get you guys out of the city. Come live at this farm that's in the country. And at first, Soonja's like, no, like, we're not gonna do that. He's like, no, like, the Americans are really gonna drop these bombs. And like, I've already moved my daughters. So you guys need to like get out because I'm not gonna have my son burn up. Right. And so they go to this farm, except for um uh Isaac's older brother, Yosef or Joseph. He goes to find work, and mm, I want to say Yokohama, I don't know, one of the other cities. But like bad news, because we reading it know like what's gonna happen. Like we reading it know probably shouldn't do that because you're gonna end up in the bomb. That does happen. Um, but he does. He goes to take another job where he can send money back to the family. And as you can imagine, eventually that's bad. And so the family all ends up at the farm, and um, Sunja's mother ends up being brought to Japan as well. Because in Japan, I mean, in Korea at the time, people were very, very much starving. Um, the war had like torn Korea apart. If you know what Korea looks like now, the Russians and Chinese were taking over the north, the Americans were kind of taking over the south, and people were very hungry and there was like nothing there, and like people had been killed over like land ownership, and people had been like all these like bad things were happening to people in Korea. So Hansu was like, y'all can't go back to Korea, like it's bad there. Um, so you might as well just stay in Japan until like things get better in Korea. Like at this point, thinking like, oh, it's not going to be long for things to get better in Korea. But we all know, like if you know history, we all know that the 40s after World War II, things were bad in Korea. And then do things get better? No, because what happens in the 50s? Like you've all seen MASH, maybe. I don't know, you may not have seen MASH, but the Korean War happens. And yeah, so the Korean War is kind of what solidified what North and South Korea are today. A little bit, a little bit of like extra history happens there because again, like South Korea also had a dictatorship up until about the 80s when they hosted the Olympics. Um, oh shoot, I didn't share. I did not share the stream. Let's share to our friends. Invite. Gonna share to our friends on Facebook because I forgot to again. It's always hard to remember to share because um I just be going live on here, and then sometimes it's hard to like maneuver between YouTube and Facebook. So yeah, dang, now the thing's gonna be slow. Um, but anyway, the Korean War happens directly after that. So that Korea never really truly recovers for a long time. So they're thinking like, oh, we'll go back in a few years when things like get better in Korea, and they just really don't. So they end up staying in Japan. So back to Yosef. Hold on. He ends up being like not well. Why? Because he gets in the bomb. He's in the bombings, and how do you make this thing schedule? Okay. Today in so he ends up being caught in the bombings, which is not great. So obviously, well, just let me. Okay, never mind. I'm just gonna put this thing here. Um, yeah, yeah. He ends up getting caught in the bombings. He ends up being burned really badly, but he doesn't die for like a long time. And so he too feels like he's a burden to his family because he is like very not well, like kind of burned all over his whole like entire body. I suck today. Well, I will not suck much longer. We will suck less because I am not going to allow the suckage. Anyway, so he's like burned over like the majority of this guy's body. And so, his family is like in a tough spot. Like, so they're working on this farm. So this Japanese man, Hansu, has kind of set this up. The boys are like working there and they're loving it. Um, Noah's kind of keeping up with his studies, whatever. Finally, like they realize they can't go back to Korea, so they go back to Osaka. Hansu sets them up with a nice house. They live and work in Osaka. The boys go to school. As we go into it more, like, Mosasu becomes kind of like a bad kid and he gets in fights all the time. He's not doing great in school. He's not like a bad kid, but like the Japanese kids and some of the other Korean kids too, like treat him badly. And so his response to that is to become really tough and like fight them. And so he kind of gets this like reputation as a tough guy. And, at the same time, Noah's trying to go to school. He wants to go to college, so he's been like studying really hard. And that's the stuff. Let me post. At any rate, let's open up to like the discussion part because I keep forgetting to do what's right in this world. So I had this one scheduled post. I should post her today. I've been like that. Oh, someone is requesting a message from me. Okay, so I think I have fixed all of the problems now. Anyway, so the boys are like now, essentially grown up. So that's the life. Life has been moving fast. And oh wait, what am I doing? Admit. That's what I'm doing. So now we're gonna have a book discussion.
Hey,
Hi.
how's it going?
Good. I forgot to share the stream on Facebook, and like I was like
Oh, that's okay.
talking, and I was like, oh wait, didn't do that.
That's okay. That's what I figured might have happened. I didn't want to be like, hey, where are you or something, but I was like,
Yeah.
oh, it probably just like didn't work or something. So I might want to just so she knows. Yeah.
Brain fart. Anyway, how are you?
I'm good. I'm super snowed and iced in right now.
Oh yeah, that's right. Like everybody got snow except for us.
Yeah. Yeah. And also like when it snows here, nothing gets plowed, nothing gets salted. So it's like I've just been kind of stuck here for a few days. It started on Friday or on Thursday.
Well, that's also kind of fun. I mean, I don't know how you feel about snow, but
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty fun. My roommate, I think, has to go to work tomorrow, and so I
yeah.
have to like shuffle cars in our driveway, and that's going to be really fun. But
That's the one thing,
hopefully,
like when I was in New York, that was frustrating. Like, in Charlotte, if it snows, everything stops. It doesn't matter how much snow there is. In New York, like there's like it can like blizzard and they're still like, I don't know, still go to class. So like that was frustrating.
yeah.
Having to like trudge from, I was living in Brooklyn, so I had to like trudge from Brooklyn, get on the subway, ride into Manhattan to go to class, and it's like blizzarding, and I was just like, I hate it here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All of Portland just panics whenever there's snow. So like I would be fine driving if like our road had been at all plowed or salted, if there had
Yeah.
been any prep done whatsoever, but there is none. And I'm like, well, I drive a Prius, so it's not going to do well.
Yeah.
But we're just,
Different types of
yeah,
different types of responses in different
yeah,
areas.
just not gonna do a thing. Yeah.
All right. So
Anyway,
anyway, how's the book reading going?
good. I've been snowed in, so I finished the book.
Oh, good. I figured
Yeah.
you might have because you were ahead of me anyway, and like I'm now getting to the last part, Pachinko.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah.
Right.
It's so like tragic, but it's also like really good.
Yeah, there's a lot of like ups and downs, and like
Yeah.
things will get a little better for a little bit, and then something really sad happens again.
Yeah.
But
It's interesting how like I was noting how like the people in Japan treat Koreans so badly, but like at the same time where while that was happening in America, we were treating Japanese people so badly.
yeah,
Like a weird parallel.
yeah, and they kind of bring that up later in the book too. So
Interesting.
yeah, yeah, it is a weird parallel.
We're a very strange species.
Yeah.
We do this like in groups and out groups thing all the time where it's like, oh, those types of people are bad now. We don't like those people.
Yeah, for some reason.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, thoughts. What are your thoughts? It doesn't matter because like I'm gonna finish the book probably in like a couple days because I'm so like I'm so engulfed in it right now.
yeah,
But yeah, what are your thoughts on what you've read?
it's really beautiful, and it's really like, I mean, this is kind of, I guess, not the nicest thing, but it's really interesting to see like who ends up surviving and what
Yeah.
types of people end up really making it and what types of people don't. And there's like so much struggle and hardship for these people, and then you remember like, oh, this is like pretty much how things were like fairly recently.
Yeah. Like it's
So
not that long ago.
yeah.
Because I was thinking about just going back to like our Japanese internment in the US, um, a lot of those people are still alive. Like George Takei was in internment when he was a little boy. And
Hmm.
it's like when you think about it like that, like some of these people are still someone's grandma right now that were like experiencing these horrible things.
Yeah.
And it's hard to think about it that way because we look at it like the past and like its history. Oh wow, like people used to live like that. But like no, like people, like real people used to live like that.
Yeah. Yeah. That was something really, I guess, good for me to like remember. And interesting because it's like at the beginning, they don't have any like electricity or running water.
Yeah.
And at the end, it's the 90s.
Yeah,
So it ends at a really, really different kind of world than it starts.
completely. And it's also really interesting to kind of see how fast the 20th century changed because the 20th century, I think, probably has more like advancements than any other century in human history.
Probably
Yeah.
computers and stuff. Yeah. Yeah. Later in the book, they mention like a computer, and I'm like, huh,
Whoa.
what?
Whiplash.
Yeah. So yeah. And there's also some like side characters that get like a section or like a chapter to themselves that then like don't really come up after that. So I'm just like, I don't know, curious about them and like interested as like why she chose to include them.
Mhm.
Because it's like interesting, like their stories are interesting, but I'm just like curious to know like why they didn't like, we don't really get to find out like what happens to some of this like side characters.
Yeah. I wonder if she was intending to write a sequel or something and like maybe include or like a parallel, but I don't know, like something else about um
Yeah.
this this
Have you
world.
gotten to the Mosasu's best friend?
Mm-hmm.
at all?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Him and his wife have like a couple like side chapters about them, and then never get to, then you don't really know what happens to them.
Yikes.
Yeah. It's interesting.
Yeah.
But
Find out in a couple days.
yeah.
I'm so excited to finish this book. Like, I've been just like reading it nonstop for like the past 3 days. Um, because like last week I didn't read it that much. And then like I was like, oh, I need to go ahead and read through some because I don't want to like drag this book discussions out for too long on one book. But like the past couple days I've just been like, oh my God. But I think it's just
Yeah.
because so much happens. Um, but really because it's like going through like it's a epic. So it's like going through all these different like years and a few chapters, but it's so interesting and so like engaging. I can't wait to
Yeah.
read more.
Yeah.
I
And
found
everybody
out,
in the book feels like real people. Feel like
yeah,
real people.
it's very much like if you would have told me this was someone's memoir, I would believe you. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
I found out that that the book has gotten picked up by Apple TV, and they're gonna do like a mini series. Which
Mm,
sucks because I don't have Apple TV and I don't
I
intend
know.
to get it, but
Yeah.
but I think it definitely will make a great miniseries.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, it'd be a
Mhm.
great miniseries. Yeah, I mean, good on her. But
Yeah,
yeah, always have to be such a niche streaming
I
service.
know. It's like I don't have that one and
No.
probably won't get it. I wish
Yeah,
it was like Netflix or something. Like
I
everybody has
know.
Netflix.
It's okay.
Yeah, but I'm excited. I love storytelling like this where you go through the generations. Um, It just reminds me of I think there's like a Mexican novel, like 100 Years Journey or something like that.
Oh, that sounds familiar.
And it reminds me of that too. Like just but that one is I think less like one family. I think it maybe kind of is one family, but it feels like it's less just about that one family. But this is like one family.
Mm-hmm.
It's so interesting.
Yeah.
And it really also kind of like makes me sad like when I'm reading on and now like the kids are having their lives and then it's just like oh I was just reading about their father and he died horribly and like now it's like
Yeah.
he's in the past.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It is very sad.
yeah, he died so horribly I was like upset like I was just like I don't want to read anymore right now.
Yeah, yeah. Especially because it was like, wow, I'm really excited to see like their family like make it.
Yeah,
And it's like, well, they do make it, but he's gone very early on in the book.
I know. And it was kind of foreshadowed because she did like have him say like he didn't want to get married because he felt like he would leave his wife an early widow, like make her an early widow.
Yeah.
But it was because like he was like sickly, not because like he got like abused in prison.
Yeah. Not for the
So
reasons you think, but it still
yeah,
does happen.
I was like, oh man, he really like he was right, but like in a bad way.
Yeah.
Sucks. I feel sorry that like Mozasu never got to really know him.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think it
Yeah. And
affected him
that
too, because
their
like that boy
uncle kind of also just
kind of
deteriorated.
yeah, he kind of gave up a little bit after that. Like he kind of like never forgave himself for telling his brother to come to Japan in the first place.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like maybe telling him to come to Japan was the best move because like what was going on in Korea was like arguably worse. Like people were getting killed, like there was no food. It was just
Yeah. Isaac would not have made it either way.
yeah, poor guy.
Yeah.
He was such a good person too.
Yeah, I know.
I also am like not really sure how I feel about Hansu. Like it's like good for him for like being generous enough to like save them when they need help, but I also still kind of feel like you still took advantage of a teenage girl. And also you're still like trying to force your way into this family's life. You know, when they had their like family unit, it's like he's your son, but he's not your son. You know what I mean? Like back up.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, he's still pretty terrible. And
Yeah.
he does some other bad things later on too.
I
So
can tell, like at the point where I'm at, I'm like, this is not gonna go great.
he's not a good person.
No.
Yeah, he doesn't really get better, improve
Um,
his character as the book
like
goes
I
on.
understood completely like why like Joseph, I'm just gonna call them their biblical names.
Yeah.
Joseph is just like, don't take money from him. Like I completely understand because I get what he's saying, and he's right. It's like the more money you take from him, the more technically he's gonna want because he is like really insistent, like I'm Noah's father, I'm Noah's father, which is like true in the sense that like you are the reason Noah exists, but like Noah had a father. And it's like
Yeah.
the more money that they accept from him, the more favors. It's like, you know, he's just not gonna be like, well, I'll just stay over here and quietly give you money. Really? I don't think so. I'm scared of him.
Yeah. Yeah, he's not a good guy.
Yeah.
I can see why. I definitely think like Joseph's reaction was also like not great.
Yeah. It's like overbearing and
Very
maybe a little,
overbearing, yeah, a little sexist, but
yeah.
he definitely has a point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like in Joseph's mind, he's like, well, I'm the oldest man in the family, so I'm the patriarch and you have to listen to me. And
Yeah.
like I get that, and especially culturally, I get it. Like, not gonna disparage anyone's culture. Like I know like the oldest man thing is like important in a lot of cultures. So,
Yeah.
but also like, yeah, he's overbearing and maybe a little sexist. And I also feel like at the moment, like the moment where Noah's gonna go to university, I feel like that should have been his decision because at that point he's definitely like maybe in his 20s. Maybe 19. I don't know how old he's supposed to
Yeah,
be.
he's like 19, 20, I think, something like that.
Yeah.
He's
Like
not that old.
just let him make his own decision.
Yeah. Let him go to university just a few classes and work or something.
Yeah.
Okay. Also, we get to go on a field trip because I am baking bread and
Ooh,
I have to go check it. My timer went off. Okay.
cool. What kind of bread?
New distraction. Just regular bread. I just, for no real reason, decided that I make my own bread now, at
Ooh.
least for the next couple weeks. So I've been doing that. And my quality of bread has really gotten better.
Oh,
So
good. I wanted to, but like back when like quarantine first started and everybody wanted to bake bread, I could not find yeast at all. Like
oh
yeast
yeah,
was
no,
just not available.
yeah. I did not do this at the beginning. This is a recent thing that I was
Yeah.
like, I just want to do this now. Oh, actually, I think it might have been perfect timing.
Cool.
It rose a lot more than I thought it was going to. That's good.
Bread reveal. We need to see the bread.
Here it is. I do it in a cast iron skillet
Oh
because it just
wow.
bakes really evenly.
Oh
Here we
yeah,
go.
that looks great.
Bread reveal.
I want a piece, but I can't have it.
I know, I'm so sorry.
Wow, that looks great. It's nice
Thank
and
you.
crusty.
It turned out okay. Yeah, I think it turned out okay. It's just like a white bread,
Ooh.
but just use it throughout the week.
I saw a bread recipe on TikTok, which, you know, arguably some of that stuff is not real. Like sometimes people are like making something that's not actually the food and they make it so it looks pretty and people go,
Oh
ooh,
yeah.
like, but it looked delicious and the crust was really crusty. And I was like, I wish I could make that bread. I wish.
Yeah. I love getting recipe ideas like that. Well,
Yeah.
and it's not that hard. Like I've just been doing a super simple recipe and it's not really that difficult. It's just
Mhm.
a matter of like following directions. So, and I use my cast iron skillet because it doesn't stick and it
Yeah.
bakes really evenly. Because sometimes my oven doesn't bake evenly, but I think that's more of a personal problem. So,
That's
anyways,
really a good idea because people like make cornbread in skillets all the time.
yeah, yeah, exactly. That's what I figured. And then it's just, I don't know. Only can do a round loaf, but that's still exciting.
Yeah, it's still
So,
fun.
yeah,
Still useful.
yeah, yeah. So, anyways, back from bread field trip though.
Awesome. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
Very
thanks. Thanks for
exciting.
running that ride. Um, yeah, I really enjoyed this book. This might be one of my favorites we've read.
Yeah.
It's just
I'm liking it a lot too. I wish I could watch the miniseries. But I don't have Apple, and I don't think they've started it yet or cast it or anything. I think it had gotten picked up, and then 2020 happened, so I don't think they had started it.
Yeah,
Um,
that makes sense. Things are
but
starting to film though now.
yeah, they're starting back. Like a lot of what the heck is happening here? A lot of movies are already starting filming again, and
Yeah.
that's good. And then the consensus is that we're gonna be like back to a somewhat normal in the summer. So
Yeah, I know. We'll see.
yeah.
So maybe they'll get it. They'll film it. I
Yep.
know if you watch Zoe's Extraordinary Playlist, which I love, that one did film in 2020, but they shot in Canada, which I don't think they'd been doing before and like
Yeah.
quarantined and obviously did it safely, but
Yeah. I've
that
been watching
one.
it. I love that show. That is like
Oh, good. Okay.
I
I
started watching it like after I think it was after the first season had already aired and like it was on Hulu and I was just like, oh, what's this? And I binged it and I was just like, because you know, like what happens, and I was like,
yeah,
oh
yeah. Destroyed us all.
my God. I
Yeah.
know.
Well, season 2 was filmed in quarantine,
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
it's good. There's a few like I think changes they had to make writing wise.
Right.
Because people couldn't come back or whatever, but or had to leave early and different things. So it was a
Yeah.
little different than they normally would do it, but it still like looked good. And they were able to do it safely. So I don't
Yeah.
know.
I've been watching it slowly on Hulu. So that's fine. Haven't watched the last couple episodes. I
Oh,
did.
okay.
Yeah, I did watch when she got her promotion, and also she's been like really having a hard time processing the death of her father, all that
Yeah.
stuff. And
Oh
then she
yeah.
met the
There's
Australian guy,
a lot
the
of ground.
Australian, yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of ground to cover then. I won't spoil
Yeah,
anything.
don't spoil it. Don't.
You have time because they're on a break till March.
Oh, good.
They did like a mid-season, like almost a mini, 2 mini seasons or something. So
Cool, cool. I will
yeah,
be watching. I've been binge watching a lot of stuff recently, to be honest. It's like
yeah.
every time I have free time, I'm just like, what else can I binge? But that's fun because I get to like discover like stuff that I wouldn't have watched normally. Like I've been watching this cartoon called Infinity Train. It's on HBO Max and it's basically like someone has a problem. And it's like aimed at like teenagers. So it's not like a children's cartoon. So it kind of has like more of a mature tone.
Okay.
And like so somebody will have like a problem and so they end up on this train that's the infinity train and they have a number on their hand and the number represents like what they have to like learn and like you can only get off
Mm.
the train when your number gets down to 0 and each car on the train is like a different adventure and like
Oh,
inside of the adventure you learn a new lesson or whatever and it's really good and I was like I would have never watched this if it hadn't been for me just binge watching random stuff.
yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. I don't have HBO Max, but that sounds really cool.
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's got like 3 seasons, so apparently they've been doing this cartoon for a while.
Oh,
I had no idea it existed.
yeah. I've never heard of that.
Yeah. But yeah, because we're like approaching 7, let's just talk about like we need to start thinking about the book after Pachinko because obviously I think we'll do one more talking about it next week.
Okay.
So maybe we should have the poll this week and pick our next book. Um,
Mm.
yeah, whatever. And there were some good choices that were up when we voted for Pachinko. So I think I'm gonna circle back with some of those. But anybody have any new choices or like you have a new idea that you or like a book that you want to read, new or old book, doesn't matter. Yeah, let's look at it.
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah, I'm excited. I love reading books. It's so fun.
Yeah. Yeah, and this is giving me more motivation to like, and I've read some different stuff that I wouldn't have found otherwise with this group.
Yeah, me too. Because it's
Yeah.
like having other people's like suggestions. You go outside of genres that you normally read, and you
Mhm.
pick books that you probably would have never like picked on your own. It's really cool.
Yeah.
So this has been fun. I've seen like so many celebrities start book clubs now because of quarantine. I'm like, idea stealers.
Yeah.
It's okay. Like, and I'm just joking because obviously they don't know who I am, so they didn't steal it from me. But
Oh, I mean, who knows? Maybe.
that would be like really weird though. Like if it was just like some celebrity lurking on here, like, oh, what book did they read? Oh, let's read it in our book club.
Yeah.
That'd be so weird.
That would.
You never know though. Like
Someone
honestly,
would
you
have had to
never.
let them into the Facebook group. That would be
Yeah. And what if they were though, but like under like a fake identity? Like it's
that
just
would
like
be
Lady
wild.
Gaga sitting there and it's just like some lady's name and we don't know who it is. That'd be weird.
Yeah. Who knows? Could
I
be.
don't know that Lady Gaga has a book club. I just pulled a celebrity out of the sky.
Oh yeah, I have no idea. I mean, I didn't know they had book clubs till you just said that. So I
Yeah,
mean,
it was like it's like Reese Witherspoon or somebody has one now and like some other people.
hmm,
But oh
okay.
well.
Interesting.
I mean, Oprah had the book club first. She's had one like since
Oh yeah, yeah. That's
forever.
true. Yeah, this is true.
Yeah. Okay. But yeah, I guess I will finish Pachinko and we will talk about it next week. And hopefully we'll vote on a new book so we can get started on it.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll see you next time. Enjoy your bread. It looks delicious.
Thanks. Thanks. Have a good week. Happy Valentine's Day.
Oh yeah, happy Valentine's Day. I'm not
Thanks.
doing anything for it, but I'll probably watch some movies like I always do.
That's good too. That's
Yeah.
yeah.
All right. See you later.
Bye.
Bye. Okay, we're gonna try same bad time, same bad channel. I lied last time and didn't go on because of the Super Bowl, but this time we will go on. There's no reason not to. Um,